Welcome to episode 3 of the family series. Last we left off, Jake and Amelia were recently married and had their first child named Jensen. They finished the first phase of constructing the colony and are now working on reorganizing things and setting up some bedrooms for the growing family. The raids are starting to get slightly larger, but things are still going smooth and easy. Let's hope that continues into the near future. Since there's not a whole lot of recreation in the colony, Amelia and Jake have resorted to actually talking to each other. They've been having deep conversations and are getting to know each other even more every day. Recently, they've been talking about birthdays. They also had a conversation about cabbages and clowns. You know how it is, there's a natural progression there. They've got children on their mind, which leads to birthdays. Children's birthdays have clowns. Then, cabbage, of course. Not long after that, Amelia gave Jake a compliment about his courageousness, and he loved it. When he heard her say that, it made him feel really good about what he's been doing in the colony. They topped it all off with a conversation about training boom rats. I think you know what that means. Time to find some boom rats to train. They've been making slow but steady progress expanding their defenses. That means doubling up the thickness of the walls, so raiders cannot just easily pierce through into the interior of their home. The east and west walls are done, and now it's just a matter of finishing this northern wall. They've also been building new traps, but it's slow progress since the only material for that is stone, and stone traps take a long time to build. It may be time to start considering adding mini turrets to the defense. They would need to first research it and then gather the materials. Steel mini turrets aren't great, but uranium and plasteel mini turrets are fantastic for this stage of the run. The relationship between our two starting colonists is stronger than it's ever been. They've been through quite a lot and have come out the other side bonded with one another. They're both sitting at 100 opinion about the other. It's nice to know that they couldn't feel any stronger towards one another. I guess they feel okay towards their son too. I hope they don't end up resenting him. I'm pretty sure poor Jensen is going to be traumatized after all of this. Some visitors have come walking by and have a few things that our colonists could trade for. There is quite a bit of ambrosia sitting around that could be valuable to trade to them. Selling 40 or 50 should do it. The jump pack tech print would be fantastic, but 3,041 silver is far too much for what our colonists can afford at the moment. Instead, those EMP grenades are looking really good right about now, and they would come in quite useful very soon. Let's sell 50 ambrosia and a bit of cloth to get those grenades. This split room at the south side of the colony did not turn out as useful as originally anticipated. Instead, let's have the colonists tear down this wall and turn it into a much larger crafting room. That will also give them the opportunity to clear out the original room and turn it into a hospital and a bedroom. First things first though, this wall and floor will have to come out, and concrete floor will go back in. The exotic goods trader has a lot of nice stuff that the colonists would love to have, but unfortunately they have nothing to trade at the moment. The silver got built into the floor for beauty and impressiveness, and most of the ambrosia got traded away for those EMP grenades. Now they can start putting double doors on the north side of the wall. The double doors need a gap in between them. The doors slow them down already, but if the doors are immediately adjacent, they will slow the pawns down even more. It looks like flak armor research is finished. Jake has a helmet, but it'll be a lot better to get him a flak vest and a better helmet. Unfortunately, children can't equip flak vests, so they'll have to wait until they're at least 13 to get their armor. There are a lot of technologies that the colony needs right now. Microelectronics will be required to progress, and soon they'll need biofuel refining in order to replace their wood generator with chem fuel. But I think for now, tree sowing makes sense, so they can stop growing farmer corn and start planting some trees. The pig population is already getting out of control. Auto Butcher got turned off to make sure Oink and Boink don't get called when we aren't paying attention. Every once in a while, we'll just have to go through and butcher a few pigs to make sure the food supply doesn't get destroyed. Of all the events to happen immediately after that, A group of manhunting guinea pigs have attacked. This must be revenge for what just happened to the pigs. Somehow the guinea pigs were able to sense a disturbance and came for a little payback. For now, the colonists are just going to hide behind the safety of the stone walls. At least the guinea pigs won't be able to get through those, I hope. A quest has been offered to handle 9 manhunting iguanas. The Empire is offering honor, and our colonists need more of that to gain ranks and progress towards the end of the story. By now, our colonists have a lot of practice dealing with these manhunting animals, but the Empire has offered a champion to help deal with the threat, so they can leave it to him. As soon as the champion Roskakis arrived, he decided to wander outside long before the iguanas arrived. Unfortunately, the guinea pigs are still sitting outside waiting for their revenge for what the colonists did to the pigs. Armed with a sword and plate armor, the champion made short work of the guinea pigs and suffered only a minor wound. Hopefully he's healthy enough to deal with the incoming iguanas as well. Before the iguanas could arrive, a small group of raiders approached the western border of the colony. They likely want to steal valuables or kidnap the baby, and do whatever it is raiders do with babies. Sell it, maybe. The raiders are preparing before they attack, so it gives our colonists some time to prepare their defense. Thankfully, Roskakis is here, so if things get bad, they'll have reinforcements from the Empire champion. Just as the raiders were about to begin their assault, the expected iguanas arrived on the opposite side of the colony. If everything goes well, they should face each other just outside the walls, and one problem will deal with another. The two opposing groups have met just outside the southern walls and are already attacking each other. The colonists are going to hide out inside until they figure out who's left standing. It looks like those iguanas really tore apart the raiders. There are several of them still up, and angry, so it's best if our colonists just wait this one out and hide until the iguanas wander off. After a while, the rest of the iguanas got bored of running back and forth, so they ran off to who knows where. Now that it's safe outside, the colonists are going to scavenge through the dead and see what's worth taking. There is a fire foam pop pack. Since utility items don't get tainted when someone dies, the fire foam pack will definitely be worth taking. The rest can be smelted down and used for raw materials. All the rotten corpses have really caused a mess outside. They're going to need to get this cleaned up before anything more gets added on and compounds the problem. Everything is set up with the smelter, so now we just need to make sure they get this hauling done, and everything will get cleaned up in short order. The only thing we need to look out for is the long rot building up on our two colonists. It isn't the end of the world if one of them gets it, but it's an annoyance we don't need right now. This solar panel by itself is having trouble keeping up with the demands of the colony. The batteries have run completely dry. They can turn the wood generator back on if need be, but wood is running very low at this point. Not only are they running low on power and wood, the pigs are also starting to run out of food. They don't need to starve to death though. There's a few raiders left over from the last few raids that can serve as pig food in the short term. Let's get one of those in there for them to eat. And now an eclipse has hit, which is only going to make the power situation worse. Hopefully this passes quickly, or the power problems are going to get much bigger. Coincidentally, a nice pile of chem fuel has landed just east of the colony. This will give the colonists a large enough supply of chem fuel to warrant building a chem fuel generator, and keep that going long enough to build a refinery. For now, let's at least get one chem fuel generator built. That should really help with the power problems. Tree sowing research has finished, so let's get the colonists started on researching microelectronics. The comms console could be useful, but truth is, they just need to start working on this or they won't be able to progress to higher tech anytime soon. The pigs have already eaten the last of the food that was left for them in the pen. All the raiders have rotted away, so for now, the colonists are going to have to start sharing their food with the pigs. Luckily, there is a fair bit of corn that has been grown, and it's more than the colonists need for themselves. Amelia has lowered the pig population again, and is back to work making sure those dandelions are growing for the pigs to graze on. It's tough work, but there isn't anyone else who can do it. Maybe one day she can teach her children how to do this work. What an extremely grim thought that is. I suppose it's not the worst thing they have to do to survive in this sort of place. They have planned out an expansion that will allow the grazing area for the pigs to be a bit larger. The other side of the expansion will be included in the crafting room and give plenty of space for all the crafting stations to be moved down into that room. The rest of the slag and the chem fuel really needs to be hauled in. We can split the work between them for now. Jake is just terrible at mining, and Amelia's busy doing other important tasks, so instead of trying to mine for steel, it's a better idea to bring in any slag possible and smelt it down for steel. Jake can do most of the hauling, and Amelia can smelt down anything that he brings in. Hopefully their teamwork together should speed things up quite a bit. The chem fuel generator is built and ready to go. That means Amelia can finally deconstruct this wood generator that's been sitting idle for days now. The chem fuel generator will be much easier to run, especially once the first biofuel refinery gets built. First things first though, they'll need to finish researching chem fuel refinery, and we'll need to get a few more resources. Everything's been frantic in the colony lately. There's been a lot of work for only 2 colonists to try to finish. Jensen is getting bigger by the day, and soon he'll be able to start helping out, with at least cleaning and a little bit of hauling. Most of the plants are growing now, and there's a huge supply of food in the freezer. Let's hope nothing bad happens to ruin this moment of calm. Next thing the colonists need to work on is finishing this southern wall so the expansion can be finished. Let's get this wall built. The pigs are having a rough go of things. First food problems, and now the flu has hit them. All they really do is eat and sleep, so they should have no problem getting over the flu with all that bed rest that they're generally going to be getting. Amelia has been hard at work on that southern wall, and has finally finished it up. Now the rest of the crafting room can be finished, and the grazing area can be expanded. Hopefully that solves the food problem for the pigs once and for all. Let's get this interior wall torn down, and they can start moving all the crafting stuff into the new workshop. First they can move all the crafting tables. From there they can finish moving in all these storage shelves. In the middle of getting the new workshop set, Jake and Amelia have decided to take a bit of a break to, well, Amelia's pregnant again, even though the chance of getting pregnant at this point is incredibly low. In either case, that's good news, because it means another child is on the way. That was quite the break from their little project. They've got just a few more things to move down, and the workshop will at least be ready to use. They still need to put the floor in, but it should work for now. They've also opened up quite a bit of space in the starting room that they can make use of. That will eventually turn into a hospital and a new bedroom for them to use. The Chosculeño pack has sent a small raiding party to assault the colony again. They aren't very well equipped, so they're going to have a real bad time when they come up against Jake and Amelia's machine pistols. Burn makes it even more difficult for them to try to close the distance, and in that space, the machine pistols are hitting them over and over. The two raiders certainly did not last very long. I suspect next time they'll send a much bigger group to attack. The pigs are still dealing with the flu, but they're building immunity quickly, so it should clear out quite soon. This third pig has been here a while, and it isn't going anywhere anytime soon, so let's give it a name. The third pig needs to fit in with the other two, so let's name it Doink. Oink, boink, and doink. Perfect. Get well soon, piggies. There's a ton of room in the upper section of that starter room, so the colonists are going to repurpose that into a new bedroom. They just need to get a wall thrown up and to move the bed, and it will work as a basic bedroom. It won't have the greatest impressiveness, but it shouldn't take much to get to a point where it gives them a nice mood boost. For now, it should at least give them a little bit of privacy from the hospital. Jensen technically already has his own room for now, but when he reaches 3, they'll have to figure out where he's going to sleep. Last thing they need to do to finish the southern expansion is to take out the pig's wall and expand the grazing area. That should provide a fair few more dandelions for them to feed on. There was silver built into the floor to boost the impressiveness of the barracks, but now that this is a hospital, there's no need to keep the floor as it is. They can tear up all this silver and move it. For now, they may as well place it in their bedroom to try to boost the impressiveness as much as they possibly can. We haven't looked much at the family's ideology so far, but since we're working towards our first reform, let's at least take a brief look at where they're starting. They started as collectivists and encouraged child labor in the colony. They also get a boost to work drive, giving triple duration to the buff. Aside from the burial, they currently only have one ritual, which you have seen previously. It's a Sky Lantern festival that they can choose to participate in whenever they please. The family has 2 relics which they revere. One is the Unity Fragment, and the other is the Ideo Relic. Lastly, like most families in this universe, they venerate cats. They haven't been able to get a cat yet, but I'm sure they'd love to before the end of this story. As we progress, we'll work on reforming the ideology to fit the direction that the family is taking. Time continues to pass, and Amelia has reached the second trimester of her second pregnancy. It is unusual for a pawn to become pregnant again while still lactating, but in this case, Amelia has done exactly that and is still breastfeeding Jensen. It's made it so they haven't had any need to create baby food. Hopefully that continues through the infancy of the second child as well. They have made a bit of progress researching microelectronics, but not much. I think it's appropriate to pause that for now and work on getting biofuel refining. If they don't get chem fuel production online soon, they'll run out of the supply that came from the drop pods. In order to avoid the power issues they were facing previously, it's important to get chem fuel going as soon as possible. Well, raiders are at it again. This time it's the decay wasters. There are a lot of pirates living in these parts, and they've made their presence known. These two are about as well equipped as the last two raiders, so this shouldn't be much of a problem. The one downside is that Amelia is progressing far into her pregnancy, and because of this, she's much more vulnerable. Since it's not quite the third trimester yet, she won't be as slow as she will be soon. But she is still a bit slower than usual. The colonists are going to push out and deal with this problem head on. They can put some damage on them before they even begin the attack. Wait, is that a waster named Amelia Flay? Well, the world is full of coincidences. And now it's a problem they can put behind them and forget all about. The raids aren't over yet. The Chosculeño pack has sent another group. This time it's twice as large as the previous group they sent. Pushing out to meet the raiders worked well for them last time, so the colonists are going to do the same again. Since there's 4 of them, this raid is a bit more dangerous than the previous 3 that they've faced. But then again, they are all melee, so as long as the colonists can put out enough damage on them before they attack, it should be another simple one. Whoops! Amelia had a bit of a fire foam pop mishap there. As soon as the assault began, it was over. 2 of them are dead, and the rest are fleeing. Let's get back to the base. Our colonists are still pretty desperate for steel. They've used everything they've gathered so far, and mining is still a very slow and laborious process for our colonists. There are plenty of ruined objects around the map that could be destroyed and the slag gathered, so let's start working on that. Each of these APCs will provide 6 slag, so that will be quite substantial, and a fair bit quicker than trying to mine that much steel. We can let Jay work on that until his mood drops low enough to become concerning. Oh look, there's a boom rat outside. I bet Jake would love taming it. Unfortunately, he has 0 clue how to actually do that. Already another raid has arrived at the borders of the colony. This time it's the Sholor Accord. I'm not sure when the last time they attacked was, but they've sent a more substantial force than the previous few raids. They've brought quite a few guns with them, and a couple of them are armored. Unfortunately, there are not many traps up, so our colonists are going to have to do most of the work. Luckily, one of the raiders rushed off in front of the rest. And as soon as they run to the corner, they start taking a hail of bullets from our two colonists. The machine pistols are going to fall off in effectiveness against these armored targets. But they were still enough to tear apart the raider with a bolt action. They were able to use the same trick to take out the shotgun raider, luring the raider away from cover, then forcing them to retreat back to give our colonists plenty of time to lay on the damage. Thankfully, both of our colonists got through this raid unscathed. The bedroom and the hospital are looking great, but the impressiveness is still low. Let's at least throw a couple plant pots into the room to give a small boost. Hopefully this one air conditioner will be enough to cool the hospital and the bedroom. I think it should be okay, but if not, I can always add another air conditioner. The last raid was a good reminder to make sure there are always traps available for any of the raids that get to be a bit too much for our colonists to handle. Since this series is a mix of story run and challenge run, I've decided to stick to strategies that make sense in relation to what colonists would actually do. That means no kill box or trap tunnels or other shenanigans to deal with raids. It'll just be straight up fights and outwitting the enemy. Unfortunately, they've been so busy with other work that they've made no progress on researching biofuel refining. That really needs to get done, so a priority shift is going to need to occur. Let's make sure Jake is on research higher than his other jobs. That should speed the research along quite a bit. This is also a good time to start using some of the textiles to make better clothes. There is some camel leather sitting around, so Amelia can make a new duster for Jake. The camel duster should be a fair bit better against the heat, but it won't do much for protection against weapons. They've hauled in a decent amount of slag that has yet to be processed, so let's make sure Amelia starts working on that. It should provide enough steel to finish their next project or two. Primarily that will be building a chem fuel refinery once this tech finally finishes. Amelia and Jake have successfully kept their child alive long enough to reach age 3. Children age much quicker out here on the Rim, but it's still a huge accomplishment for them nonetheless. Especially when you consider the fact that at the beginning, we weren't entirely sure if they were even going to end up in a relationship. Today is Jensen's birthday, and he's officially a toddler, which means that he can walk around, eat, and even do a bit of labor around the colony all by himself. There isn't a bedroom for him yet, so for now the parents are going to just have to suck it up and share their bedroom with him. I think ultimately it would be nice to try to get every child their own bedroom, and maybe even decorate it to fit their personality, but for now a shared bedroom is going to be all they can manage. They've been on the planet for over a year now, and they've made substantial amount of progress in that time. They have a farm with pigs, plenty of food, a decently stocked workshop, some security to keep them safe from raiders, and a second child well on the way. The biggest challenge going forward is going to be to keep Jensen away from danger. Predators are going to become a much larger threat if he wanders too far from the safety of the walls. If the worst should happen and Jensen or one of the other children dies, it will cause a massive mood penalty across the board, which would have a lasting effect that is difficult to recover from in this style of run. For now, everyone is happy and healthy, so let's take a moment to appreciate that. That's the end of episode 3. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for updates on all future videos. For those of you who made it all the way to the end, please consider checking out my Patreon to help support the creation of more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and see you for the next one.